Is it time to buy or to sell? Welcome to Crossover to Profits. So, big day in the market today. I have Finviz pulled up here. You can see the NASDAQ was down over 400 points, Dow almost 500, Russell 2000 down over 3.25%. So, big sell off. We have the heat map here. Big tech sold off. More of a defensive play. You can see consumer defensive, utilities, healthcare all in the green. But big movement today. There's been a lot of volatility in the market lately. And Finviz is what I use just to have in the background throughout the day, just so I kind of get a pulse of the market. I think it does a really good job of having top gainers, top losers, and then the major indices. So you can see when you go to analyze your trades at night, just have a little bit of a backstory of how the market performed that day. So a lot of red on the screen, a lot of pessimism. Stock sells off a day after furious rally as volatility returns. So there's just a lot of uncertainty. So if we flip over to the charts and how I look at the stock market each day, I look at the IWM and the IWB, look at the weekly charts, see if the 5 EMA is sloping up or down, and then what the MACD histogram's doing. So um, we're still, I would consider bullish conditions, even though it's definitely started to turn. Our 5 EMA on the weekly on the IWM is still upward sloping. MACD is still positive. The momentum has started to go down. And you can see over here on the daily, got a lot of volatility, but we still have our stacked EMAs, the 5s above the 20, which is above the 60, which is above the 240. We do have a lot of red days, which indicate bearish price action accompanied with some major volume. So for sure, the daily chart doesn't look very good, but overall, I still consider this a risk-on bullish environment until proven otherwise. IWB is a different story. We've got negative MACD. We've got a downward sloping 5 EMA on the weekly. So I'm avoiding anything above 10 billion in market cap, still looking at small caps only. So that's all the bearish side. But on the bullish side is if you look at our individual sectors, I have the spiders. I do the same type of filtering here. A lot of positive momentum. So XLP, you can see, has just basically gone vertical since towards the beginning of 4Q of last year. And there's potential for it to break out into some new high territory. So XLP looks good. XLV, similar condition. Real estate continues to rip higher. And then utilities had another big day today. It's a lot of defensive plays. XLC communications actually turned positive on the 5 EMA. Financials had a big sell-off day, but still bullish conditions. Basic materials still bullish, and industrials still bullish overall. Consumer discretionary, energy, and technology are all ones to avoid. So that's just where we're at for the sectors. And then from there, it's to determine, do we have any plays on, I like to look at ETFs first. And so I have actually XLP coming through on my scanners today. So I'm going to look to enter a position in XLP, probably place a stop loss right around this 77.18. That'd be a 60 EMA period, capture a couple week low if we were to do that. So I like this setup. You can see we've got some consolidation. We've been in a pre-squeeze condition, and we're actually tightening that to now a standard 1.5 ATR squeeze. Green bars on this volume histogram I have. A lot of bullish price action with strong volume. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is a great setup for tomorrow. So XLP, consumer defensive, consumer staples, spider. So there's one, and then let's look over at the individual security, see if anything comes through. So not a lot on my stock scanner. And what I do is I look for consolidations. I only look for anything that is considered a squeeze, whether that's a Bollinger Band squeeze, looking at a 1.5 or 2 ATR versus the Keltner channels, or I'll also look at Bollinger Band with 20 period versus 60 period. So those are just my conditions. I only place trades with stacked EMAs with a positive daily slope, and then bullish price action for the day with volume. So going through our list here, IRT, this is actually a position I called out a couple days ago, and I was actually stopped out. Today was earnings. I think I had an 1822 stop on it. You can see it went below that, took out my stop, and then recovered and closed near the high of the day. So very bullish day. Earnings, you can see MACD's curling up, a lot of volume that's positive. So I'm going to actually look to re-enter IRT. Like I said, I had the position on. It was stopped out today. So I'm going to look to re-enter that because I know it's set up well before today. And then today's action just makes it even a stronger candidate. TKO, looks like this is a stock that hasn't even had a year's worth of price action because I don't have my Donchian channels extending past there. So I like to avoid newer issues. You can see the volume bar isn't complete either. I just don't know enough history to make a decision. Technology's off. Financials, Payo, global. Let's look here. So I like to start at the weekly if I don't have a good direction on the daily. You can see a lot of selling off in 2023. Failed breakout, pulled back, set new low. Nice breakout here. Kind of a flag pattern. We got some basing happening. We're starting to curl up. MACD has been rising. We got a really tight consolidation on all the EMAs. But definitely our conditions are here for pretty big support level. You could use this 240 EMA 5.37 level as your stop and look for some pretty big price movement here. So I'm going to say that's and we see XLF has a positive 5 EMA slope with a negative but rising MACD on the weekly. So I'm going to say that's a second entry. And then XLV, so our healthcare is in play. We have GRN, which is a biotech. It's made some big moves, a lot of volatility lately. It's a couple of hammer candles. So I'm not liking this setup. There's just I don't see a clear support level to really put a stop in at. There's some overhead resistance here. So I'm going to pass on that one. The second one is IONS, another biotech. Big move up, big sell off, big move up, just kind of an up and down price movement. Again, I don't see a clear stop. I mean, you could put it under the low of today with earnings, but I'm going to pass on this as well. It's not quite the price action I like to look for. And then the last one on the scanner would be NXT. This has showed up a couple times, so I say it's a nice looking chart, but I like to be very consistent in how I analyze my setup. So if I'm saying the XLE is on a weekly is bearish, I did put a trade on with XLE. It's about to get stopped out. But ultimately, this trade looks like it's going to fail. And so I don't look to put new trades on into sectors that I'm considering are now turned bearish. So I'm going to pass on NXT, even though the setup in this chart looks pretty promising to break out and put in some new highs. We'll wait to see if XLE makes a turn tomorrow and gets back into a buy condition. I'll look to enter XLE or NXT. But right now I'm going to say that's a no. So recap, the trades for the day are XLP, Spider. Really like that consumer staple setup. It's looking really good to break out of this several week consolidation. And then for individual securities, I'm going to re-enter IRT, get some real estate exposure, and then Payo on the financials. All small caps. But yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. But again, you got to be consistent with your trading. If you have conditions that tell you when to enter and exit the market, and you're consistent with that, and it's supported by some technical patterns and solid technical analysis, looking at some momentum and price action, then I think just keep playing that. And it's not going to work 100% of the time, but if you maintain rigid risk to reward entries, you're going to make money in the long run. And I've had some really good success over the last year looking at this just 20, 30 minutes a day, part-time swing trading. So hopefully you found this helpful. Please consider liking and subscribing. Otherwise, have a good night and God bless.